And isn't this interesting, though? We haven't even talked about yet today the world of social media, the world of technology, and what the effect of technology is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's this technology element to teaming, too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of the driving force for this? Or how does a team really build that level of connectivity and communication?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the technology it can help or hurt, right? Depending on how you use it. So if you're going to just send emails back and forth, be on quick calls, that kind of connection's not going to work very well. I was actually facilitating a training yesterday in person, and someone brought up the fact, he said, people talk about the amount of email they have in their inbox. He said, but what you really have to look at is, are they physically all in the same location? Or are they scattered around the world? And he said, in our company, for example, we're a one location company. And he said, people's email box, they're saying they haven't gotten email responses of people that literally sit 10 feet away from them. And his response is, get up and go talk to them.
Oh.
So it's really assessing, how to use technology to increase, I think, your relationships and your connectivity. And how do you, and when do you need to use your common sense again and say, I should just go face to face, talk to this person. I should pick up the phone. I should grab them in the hall and have a quick chat before our meeting and things like that. But when teams are not physically in the same location, or they're scattered around the globe, I mean, like Skype and so many different platforms are really going to help people have a face-to-face interaction, which I think is vital for teaming to work. One of the things that I want to make sure to point out about teaming and culturally brilliant teams, and this again comes from Amy Edmondson's work, is that she talks about teaming as taking the mindset and practices of great teamwork. So it's not so much about the structure and design of teams anymore, unless you are going to be on a team, like you said, the Patriots, the Red Sox. I'm from Boston, so
exactly.
Stay together for a really long time versus the Olympic team that comes together just for several months of intense work together. So really, it's the mindset and practices of teamwork, and that's what brings teaming together most effectively. So to your point about, how far are we going to go to impose this within an organization? I think you make it come full circle and you make it part of your culture. Yeah. That it's part of our organizational culture. We are going to connect in these particular ways with each other. I worked with teams, virtual teams, where I've suggested, this was in the last few years, everyone knows based on research and their own experiences that if you don't know someone, it's going to be hard to work with them. Why don't you schedule a 15 or 20 minute call and just have a get to know you conversation, talk about family, hobbies, whatever, where you live. And there's a lot of resistance to it. We don't have time for that. And I started to push back and say, so you have time to not work together well? You have time to have a conflict. You have time to not be creative. You have time for all those things, but you don't have time for a 20-minute phone call. And to really get people, this is a big mindset shift for people. Why would I waste time getting to know someone? Well, it's not a waste of time at all. It's the best investment you could ever make if you're going to work, especially virtually.
I want to ask you a question about teaming and emotional intelligence. When a team member seems to come unglued, where is the tolerance level for that? I would love to hear from you. How do we stay authentic and not be like emotionally unstable? Because I've been on teams, you've been on teams. I've had bosses that pounded on their desk and like all of that stuff. Where is the balance of letting people, what is the term, emote and become passionate? Where is there like this thing that crosses over to the dark side?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great question. And I would say, that's an interesting, authenticity can be interpreted a lot of different ways. So your example of the boss pounding on the table, I wouldn't even say that person's being authentic, because if they were really being themselves, they wouldn't even go there. They'd have a different response. But where's the balance? I think the emotional intelligence piece, and the newer term we're hearing a lot, is emotional agility.
Yes.
Which is the next phase of it, pretty much the same thing. But it's essentially, and I love how distilled down emotional agility is, it's how do you productively manage your thoughts and feelings? And not just in the workplace, anywhere, anytime, personal life, wherever you are. And I think that's really where we start to find the balance. In a perfect world, I would say everyone should take a class on emotional agility. We're going to take a class on emotional intelligence and really learn how to take that. Sometimes it only takes 5 to 10 seconds to just stop for a minute and say, I know what I'm feeling. I know what I'm thinking. How do I want to respond now? Because I actually always have a choice as long as I can recognize it. What would be productive here? What do I need to say, even though I might be triggered? And I think when people can start to do that, they're not going to go over to the dark side. Or if some, we all have days, right? So if someone does blow up, if they have some emotional agility and intelligence, they of course go back and clean it up and they apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And most people accept an apology.